Hello everyone, this is a start of tutorial in which we will focus on crafting system. And what I mean under a crafting system is that we can collect different resources like stones, branches, and etc. And we need to be able to craft something from them. For example, an axe or hammer or something else. In my case, it will be axe and hammer. Um, So let's start, and like in previous videos, let's create a new folder and call it craft component. Let's create a new actor component here and call it craft component. Open it, and as in every previous components, let's get an owner and promote it to variable called character. Here it is. Also, I will hide my forest because with opened OBS it is a little bit laggy. Here it is. Okay, now first thing we should know is which items we can craft. Not every item can be crafted, and different items can be crafted by hand on different workbenches and etc. So we need to have some list of an items that can be crafted and places where they can be crafted. Let's create a enum first and call it craft place. And here I will have base by default. And in future, for example, I can have lumber T1 or lumber T2 and etc. But now I will have only base. That will mean things that can be crafted without any workbenches, just for example with stone and branch. And now we need to make a list of items that can be crafted, where we will provide the resources that are needed, where we will provide a craft place. So let's create a data table. Just type data table here and you will find it. Oh, first we need a structure, of course. Let's create a new structure and call it craftable item. And what it will have? It will have in my case, I already have a list. I already have a data table of any items that can be stored in inventory. So I will place this. I don't need to place it here. I will just search for a structure. I have a structure for any item that I have. And my item structure contains name, item class, item type, IDs, and etc. But I don't want to fill the structures again in my new data table. So in my new craftable item structure, I need just to know which row of my data table items I want to craft. Because here all my structures are filled with some descriptions, thumbnails, class, and item type. So to do that, in my craftable item, my first field will be item row, and it will be data table row handle. And this will be a link to some of the rows of this data table. The next thing that I need is a resources needed to craft an item. And to do that, we cannot just put an array. So let's open back craft component folder and create a new structure and call it. Also, I'm making the system on the go, so it may take some time when I will think about something or I will change something. So let's call this as craft resource. So what the structure will be, it will contain an amount of resource needed and a resource by itself. Also, this resource will be DT, something from my DT items. So it will be um, re resource item, resource row, and it will be data table row handle, and we will have needed amount or just amount here, and it will be type of integer. And now craftable item will have a list of these resources. So let's put resources here, and it will have type as craft resource and make it an array. Next, we need to provide it with craft place. So the next field will be craft place, and it will be e craft place single. It's not an array. Save, close. That's it for now. Now let's create a data table, a list of items that can be crafted. So let's click on an empty space and type data table. And here we select our structure, and it is S craftable item. Okay, call it DT craftable items. Open it and let's fill it. Let's add a new row. Here, let's call it stone axe. And let's fill these fields. So item row will be also, let's open structure called as craftable item and open default values item row and select data table by default DT items so that we will not need to provide it every time. So here and I'm selecting an item and it will be an iron axe, not stone axe. I'm sorry, iron axe. Craft place base and resources will be first resource will be data table is also DT items and row name will be stone and amount, for example, 2. I will need 2 stones. That's for the first resource. And second resource will be, oh, again, we're selecting DT items. And it will be a branch. And it will require 2 branches. No, let's make it 3 branches. And craft place base. So that's for an iron axe. Next, I'm creating new row and calling it wooden mallet. Okay, item row is wooden mallet, and it will need only one resource. It will be DT items and branch. It will require, for example, 7 branches. Craft place base. Great. That's all for now for creating about creating a list of an items. Now we should be able to display them somehow, so we will need a widget. I will create just a base widget like for a building system for now, and then we'll change it for my needs to have a better design and etc. So I will create a new folder and call it crafting widget, creating a new widget blueprint here, user widget, and here we will have we be craft item that will look like, but it will be a button for every craft item. I made in a size box, setting its width and height to width is 200, height is 50. Next, I will add a button here, button into a size box, and text here, text into a button, and changing its color just to black, call it, for example, Iron X. That's it. Now, let's make this text a variable. I will call it txt uh, item. Mark is variable, open graph, and we need to set up this craft item with our newly created craft item structure. So let's add a variable here and name it as uh, craft item. And it will have type as craft item, craftable item. Make it instance editable and expose and spawn. Expose and spawn means that we'll be able to provide this craft item via a constructor of this blueprint. So when we will create this blueprint, we will need to provide a target and we will also need to provide a craft item. So here in pre-construct script, let's take craft item, break it, and we have, oh, I forgot that let's present resources needed to build this item somewhere. A button is fine, and we need to show how much resources it needs. So I will make a size box a little bit larger, for example, 400, and the button will not be scaled horizontally, will be aligned to the left. And next, here I will have some text, just text. And we cannot add text here in size box. We need an overlay. Let's add an overlay. Let's select a button, wrap with an overlay. Overlay will be scaled horizontally and vertically, and button here is not scaled vertically. Let's scale it. Now into overlay, let's add no. Let's create a new widget for resources displayment. Let's create a new widget and call it WB craft item resource. It will have a size box also. Its size will be 40 and 40, for example, maybe. And what it will have, let's add an overlay by default. It will have an image and a text describing how much items it needs. So let's add an image here. Image will be scaled horizontally. And as template, I will select branch. T branch, THMB branch, and I will increase the size box and vertically from 40 to 50. And we need some text here on the bottom. So text will be aligned to the bottom and centered, and font will be regular not 24, maybe 12. And let's type here 5. Yes, so that's very simple widget. And also an image should be a variable, it should be changed. Resource icon is variable, and this also should be changed. Txt resource count is variable. Let's open an event graph and add here resource, and it will have a type of as craft resource that we've created. And it will also be instance editable and expose and spawn. We're adding instance editable because expose and spawn doesn't work without instance editable. Now let's go back to wbcraft item, and I will decrease size box back, and the button will be scaled horizontally, and I will add text below the button. So, and no, not a text, I will add a newly created widget, wbcraft item resource, and it will be aligned to the bottom and centered horizontally by x-axis. And it should be displayed below the button. So let's disable scale vertically for a button. It should be aligned to the top, and increase the size box height from 50 to 100 maybe. 90 maybe. No, 95. 95 is fine. Also, we may have a bunch of resources needed and not only one. So let's add the wrap box. Maybe we can just wrap it with the wrap box. Yes, we can wrap it with the wrap box. And I don't know how it will look like now. Yes, and when we'll have a bunch of resources, it will look like this. Let's increase the distance between items, selecting wrap box, inner slot paddings, and X padding will be 5. That's fine. Great. Wrap box should also be a variable, and let's call it wrap box resources. Now back to graph. Here in pre-construct, we have an item row, and let's break it. We're getting data table and the row name, so let's get a data table and get a row, and this will be a row name. Connect it. Okay, so we need to break this row because we don't know on compile time which row we are getting from this table, so we're breaking S item. S item is a structure used for my DT items. In your case, it may be other structure, but I'm sure that you will find out how to fit this to your needs. Now we have a name, and the name goes to txt item. So let's get txt item and set text name. And that's all for just button. Next, we need to set up resources and add them to a wrap box. So for each resource here, let's add for each loop. Array of resources go here. For each of them, we are create widget of wbcraft item resource. And as you see, we need to provide it with a resource, and the resource will be an array element. Here it is. After creating it, we need to add it to our wrap box. So we're getting a wrap box and add, I'm not sure, maybe a child to wrap box, and connect this widget like this. That's how it looks like. And I think that for now, we are not handling any button tasks for now. That's fine for a widget. Let's compile and save it. And we need to add it to main screen, to main HUD. In my case, b main vb main HUD widget. So here I have a widget for buildings that we've created, and I will add just the same. So type here vb craft item, and it should be placed in some wrap box. It should not, because now VB craft item is only one button with resources, but we may have a list of items that can be crafted. So let's add the wrap box here. Let me hide this widget. Mm, visibility, hidden. Okay, it's visible by default. Okay, not a problem. So its width, let's just copy its width 100, 100. Okay, so this is our wrap box, and let's call it VB craft items list, and it will be a variable. Now what we need to do is to open a graph, and let's create a new function. Call it setup craft widget. Here we need to get uh, a table, get data table, or no, this is not fine. Let's open craft component here, and here let's create a function, get craftable items in, and it will have an input craft place. So e craft place, and it will get data table, not get data table row. Mm, okay, get data table row names. Table is dt items. Oh, not dt items, dt craftable items here. Now, for each row in this data table, we're gonna get data table row, get data table row, and row name is an array element of row names, and data table is dt craftable items. Next, we're gonna take out row, break it, and check if craft place is equal to the one that we have as an input of our function. So get craft place like this. And if it is true, then we should add this item to some array. So let's create a local variable, call it local items, and it will have a type as craftable items item, and it will be an array, not a single object. Next, let's get it and add on true, adding an out row. Now, on completed of the for each loop, we're gonna return node, get local items, this array of items. So now let's open back main HUD widget, or whenever you want to display your widget. And here I have a pre-construct script where I am getting components. Oh, these components are exposed to spawn, so I will create a new component and call it craft component. And it will have craft component type. It will be instance editable and exposed on spawn. Now let's open back setup craft widget function. Let's get craft component. And let's call this function like get craftable items. Now we need only craft place base. And after we've got these items, let's loop through them. And for each of them, we are creating a widget. Create widget. Widget will be this one, craft item, craft item, and we have a pin craft item that was marked as exposed on spawn, and array element goes here. And we are adding this created widget to a wrap box craft items list. So let's get a wrap box, add child to wrap box, and something like this. Then we need to call this function somewhere. So let's open pre-construct and call setupcraft widget here. Oh, oops, like this. And in case if setupcraft widget is called multiple times, we need to, every time we call setupcraft widget, remove every element from a wrap box. For example, if you typed button Q, for example, once, then widget was set up. You closed it, then you tap Q, and it still has some resources, some buttons, and it will duplicate them. So here, let's get craft items list, wrap box, clear children, and setup craft widget will have an input of craft place, like this. It will have a craft place input. So let's increase it right now, and it should be fine. Now the last thing we have to do is to provide our main hot widget with craft component. So let's open a place where we are creating a main hot widget. In my case, it's user interface component, and when I'm creating the main hot widget, I have a new pin called craft component. If you don't have it, you can just right click on your create WB hot widget or something else and click refresh nodes. It will add new pins if they are needed. So I will just copy one, so get component by class, craft component, and plug it in craft component. Okay, now let's try to start it and see will it display as a widget. No, it doesn't. Access non-trying to read property craft component. Yes, I forgot to add this craft component to my character, so let's open main character and add craft component. Let's start it again. And here I have to buttons, but I forgot to change a thumbnail. So let's open craft item resource here, and I am providing it with a resource, but don't use anything from it to set up it. So let's get a resource and pre-construct, break it. We get a resource row, also break it, get a data table, get row, get data table row, the same as we did in VB craft item, but it will be just another row name. Then breaking as item, and as item has a thumbnail in my case, so I'm getting image, get image, and set brush from texture, and texture will be a thumbnail, and then I'm getting resource count text and setting text, and the text will be an amount of resource here. Let's move it a little bit, and here I will hide unconnected pins so it will not get a lot of place, like this. Also, as we been able to see, our craft item may have a big title, so I'm not sure if we can scale font somehow automatically. Wrap text, maybe just scale. No, font cannot be scaled here. I will just decrease its size from 24 to 20, and maybe I will increase a size of a size box width from 200 to 220. Great, and in my main head widget that's just for me, I will place it. No, I will not place it here for now. Let's test it out. And as we can see, we have two buttons, iron X and wooden mallet from data table, and a resources displayed below them. So this is very base widget, so you can change it to fit your needs, add some background, beautiful buttons, and etc. Now, one thing that we should mention is that we may have a lot of items to craft that cannot be placed in this list, so they may be scrollable. So we need a scroll. We need a scroll box, and let it make this same size, 140. Okay, I will just make it the same as my building, approximately like this. And my craft items list will go to scroll box. Also, so that's it. Okay, we'll continue in next video. So we need to, now we have such widget, but cursor is not shown, and we don't want to see this widget every time. We need to show it only when some button is tapped, and as we can see, right part of a button is cropped, and that happens because wrap box size fill. Let's select fill instead of auto, and now it should fix this problem. No, didn't fix it. Where is my craft item? It has here, my size box has width to 20. It is scaled, and in main hot widget, my size fill. Um, no, maybe like this. Scroll box size to content. Oops. Wrap box. Orientation. Vertical. Center. Yeah. Now it's fine. So ensure that you have a vertical orientation here. I aligned everything central, made it size to fill a scroll box, and scroll box is made to size to content. So that's all for this video. Thanks for watching.